The Tornado IDS Marineflieger event prize flies out in War Thunder. Was it worth the grind? Let's find out. After the Tornado IDS was introduced to the West German Luftwaffe, the West German Navy ordered over 100 of them to use for anti-shipping and marine patrol. The aircraft entered service in 1982, replacing the F-104 Starfighter, which was quite unsuited for the role, and the new Tornado provided a significant increase in performance over the earlier Starfighters. The Tornado became the primary German anti-ship strike aircraft and continued in that role for over 20 years. In service with the German Navy, the IDS was upgraded a couple of times, mostly for compatibility with new weapons like the AGM-88 HARM missile and more modern reconnaissance pods. Eventually, the Tornado was phased out by the German Navy, with the last one leaving service in 2005. What we get in War Thunder is the Tornado IDS Marineflieger, the top event prize from the Winter Quest 2022. This is a strike aircraft at battle rating 10.7 in rank 8 of the German air tree. The plane carries the ARI 23274 radar set. Despite being itemized as the same radar as the regular Tornado IDS, the functionality is totally different. This radar has an ACM boresight mode that can be used to target aircraft, but its search and track functionality is set up for ships. You can't detect or lock regular ground targets, just the boats. The jet also gets a ballistics computer, but notably does not have the SPI that the regular Tornado has. That's the sensor point of interest functionality. So it can't actually designate targets for the CCRP. I reported this as a bug, and it might be resolved by the time you see this. For loadouts, this Tornado doesn't get the laser-guided bombs, but it still gets its air-to-air missiles, dumb bombs, drop tanks, countermeasure pods, and anti-ship missiles. Its air-to-air missile is the AIM-9L. This is the same all-aspect heatseeker that the Tech Tree Tornado gets, and it's currently the best-performing Sidewinder in the game. The real treat, though, is the AS-34 Cormoran anti-ship missile. This weapon uses a combination of inertial guidance and active radar homing, with initial target designation performed by the Tornado's radar set. It's listed as having a launch range of 32 kilometers on the stat card, but in a practical sense, realistic target engagement is under 20 kilometers if you want to reliably score hits. The operation of this weapon is to first achieve a radar lock on the ship you want to attack. This works the same as targeting aircraft, same keybinds and everything. Then you spool up the missile, wait for the rectangular lock indicator instead of circular to blink quickly, and then fire and hope for the best. In testing, it took between 2 and 4 shots to sink a destroyer, but the targeting might get smarter in a later patch, and it may eventually only take 1 hit. As of release, this weapon cannot be used to attack regular ground targets, since the launching plane, the Tornado, can't lock them in any way, so you have no way to target them. Now, you can use this to attack air targets by getting a radar lock with the ACM boresight mode. But this isn't an AIM-54. It doesn't maneuver well, and has an armor-piercing warhead instead of a proximity fuse, so you need a direct hit to take something down. Plus, it's incredibly slow. It's actually possible for the launch plane to catch up with this weapon and outrun it. To actually get kills against aircraft with this missile, you're going to need very compliant targets that basically want to be shot down. They're not even good at head-ons, and the only reliable tactic I can think of, unless you just get really lucky, are using them to attack someone who's going into land, or maybe AI targets on EC maps or something. The flight performance of the Event Tornado is basically identical to the Tech Tree Tornado, and there isn't much to say beyond my regular review of the Tornado IDS. Not very maneuverable, it's got wing rip problems, especially with negative Gs. It can use its thrust reversers in flight, and its air brake isn't very effective. One noteworthy difference, though, it seems like this Tornado has better directional stability than the Tech Tree version, but that might just be confirmation bias on my part. Flying the Event Tornado into air battles is very similar to the Tech Tree Tornadoes. You're a supersonic bomb truck. Fly out, smack targets, fly home. This plane can carry enough bombs to take out 2 bases, and it might end up being a pretty popular grinding plane combined with a Talisman, especially considering its lower battle rating. In air combat, it's still a struggle bus, and while the AIM-9L is a great weapon, the Tornado IDS just isn't a dogfighter, and it doesn't turn very well in traditional air-to-air fights. Flying into close air support is an entirely different experience than the Tech Tree version. You don't get the laser-guided bombs, so just dumb bombs. At least you get a lot of them. You're going to have to rely on the CCIP for drops, and as always, the lower you get for more accurate drops, the higher risk of getting shot down by SPAA. Now, the elephant in the room is the lack of opportunities to use the anti-shipping missiles right now. As of the plane's release, only 1 or 2 maps in the ARB rotation at top tier have any ships to attack, and it's just some docked cargo vessels and small river boats. Now, it might be viable to attack hovering helicopters with them in close air support, but other than those small edge cases or just blind luck, there really isn't a lot of use for them in War Thunder's current game modes. At least, not yet anyway. For now, it's mostly a gimmick, but it might become relevant later, so keep these things in your back pocket. Visually, the only real difference with the Tech Tree Tornado is going to be the paint job. That and the anti-shipping missiles slung on it. Otherwise, same deal. Landing is also pretty much identical to the Tech Tree Tornado. Same features and same caveats. You're going to be using your thrust reverser. The cockpit is, again, basically identical. Beautifully modeled, but notably missing a radar scope even for its anti-shipping functionality. Unfortunately, that left side MFD isn't doing much for us right now. To close out on the Tornado IDS Marineflieger. This jet gets enough bombs to take out 2 bases in AirRB. It's the first jet in the game with properly functioning anti-ship missiles. And it's an event vehicle, so potentially free-ish? However, it's not maneuverable and it doesn't turn well. It doesn't get any guided weapons that can attack regular ground units. And it's got wing rip issues. The final verdict on the Event Prize Tornado is that this jet may end up being a pretty solid Air RB points grinder, and with its lower battle rating than the Tech Tree Tornado, it might survive more matches more often. Plus, the anti-shipping missiles are neat, and they might become relevant in the future, but its close air support potential is dramatically reduced over the Tech Tree version. As always, thanks for watching.